Dune Awakening is an ambitious survival MMO with a lot of unique systems that all play into long-term progression. And when it comes to any survival game, there's a lot you need to learn, and quickly. My name is Kodiak, this is Legacy Gaming, and this is our ultimate beginner's guide for Dune Awakening. Today, we're going to go over a lot of basics, but in ways that not only help you understand foundational systems, but how they expand towards endgame progression so you know what pitfalls to avoid or advantages you can gain. Water in Dune, as you'd expect, is a precious resource, and because there isn't any sort of hunger system in the game, it's critical you master this system. It's essential to not only learn how to effectively manage your own water, but also how to conserve, transport, and store this resource, which becomes even more essential throughout progression. When starting out on Arrakis, you won't have many options to stay hydrated. The most important thing you can do is stay out of the direct sunlight during the day. If your sun exposure meter fills up, you'll enter a state of exhaustion that will rapidly deplete your water within seconds. Keeping to the shadows and wearing proper gear will go a long way to mitigating this effect. If you're short on water, below 1 pip on your meter, your best early option is to find patches of vegetation and drink the dew from their leaves. However, this is just a stopgap as you'll only be able to recover up to a third of your max water with this method. Getting a base up and running should be a top priority as you'll need to craft a blood extractor, blood sacks, and at least one blood purifier station. After killing an enemy, you'll want to use the blood extractor to siphon blood into your blood sack containers. You'll then take the blood back to your base, deposit it in the blood purifier, and wait for that to be converted into clean drinking water. This marks the beginning of your ability to store water long term. If you didn't already know, you'll go through thousands of liters of water progressing, so understanding this cycle early on is key to a smooth endgame progression. The last thing you'll want to do is reach the iron or even steel tier and be stuck waiting to purify water that you could have been storing all this time. It's not a complicated process, but it can be a singular choke point that holds you and potentially your guild back. If you're playing in a group, we recommend having at least one blood purifier per player since each person can easily keep a single station topped off with blood. You'll also want to start investing in cisterns which automatically store all water created by purifiers. The key here is that blood purifiers can only hold 1,000 milliliters of water before they stop converting blood to water, while cisterns each have a 5,000 milliliter capacity, allowing you to store much more for easier expansion. Then we get to the liter johns. These are essentially canteens and allow you to transport a sizable amount of water on your person. You can fill these up from cisterns or purifiers and even take advantage of water containers you find out in the world to keep yourself topped off. As you get into the iron and steel tiers, you should look to trade out your lower blood sacks for higher tiers. While the overall weight of these usually doubles, their blood storage capacity triples or quadruples. This shaves off weight while also bringing in more blood for your team. Once you're in the iron tier, you should also get yourself a dew reaper. This tool allows you to harvest large amounts of dew from those plants we talked about earlier, but with this tool, the dew will fill up your liter johns. Having multiple liter johns allows you to harvest large amounts of water quickly from across the world and safely transport it back to base. However, there is a trick to using this tool effectively. You'll want to harvest at the optimal time, right before sunrise, when you can visibly see a blue mist above the plants. This will supercharge your collection rate, filling up most high-capacity liter johns, while also saving you from burning through your power pack. If you have a couple teammates at different patches each sunrise, the amount of water you can bring back is staggering. Once you reach the steel tier, you'll begin to build more expensive structures like wind traps that automate the water collection process, siphoning water directly from the moisture in the air to your cisterns. And if you follow all of these tips, your progression and survival up to that technological point should be incredibly smooth. Gaining XP in Dune Awakening, like in most survival or RPG games, is critical to your progression. XP allows you to level up, rewarding you with valuable skill points, helping unlock new tech tiers, and giving you research points to spend unlocking new crafting recipes. At launch, there will be a race to secure some of the best base locations, and considering there is a huge PvP component to the game, speed and efficiency are a factor. So how do you gain XP and research points the most effective way? Exploration, plain and simple. It's one of the most essential things you can do in Dune. Points of interest all grant you XP when you discover them the first time. During progression, you should proactively check out as many POIs as you can once you reveal the full map. Larger points of interest, often settlements, usually contain intel points, which you can track on your map. These teal-colored holograms found somewhere in the settlement, once picked up, grant you a number of research points. From the very beginning of the journey, you should start collecting these because the further you get into the research tree, the more expensive things cost, and simply gaining levels won't give you enough research points to unlock everything. In addition to exploration, the other two main ways to gain XP are through combat and harvesting resources. The latter one is obvious and should be part of your natural progression, but the combat side of things matters a lot more than you might think. If you're playing as part of a large group, not being in those excursions into testing stations or densely populated enemy settlements will really set you back, and the level disparity between those who explore and those who don't will become apparent. To help offset this, we've found building our base close to a major point of interest helps jumpstart the farming, whether it's for resources, blood, or XP. You can take this one step further and try to pay attention to the nighttime scouting paths of the Sardaukar ships, the ones that have those massive searchlights. If you build your base in their path, a couple players can easily juggle being spotted by the ship, causing several waves of enemies to drop down and fight, providing you an easy opportunity for blood, ammo, healing items, and XP every night. Fog of War is a natural part of Dune Awakening, and you need to know how to deal with it. Wandering the desert, locating things organically might sound appealing as a survival player, but Arrakis is massive, and you'll learn very quickly how big of a waste of time that actually is. Once you reach the Copper tier, you'll unlock a special set of blueprints, the Survey Probe Launcher and Survey Probe. Craft and take these to a high elevation in each region. This will allow you to fire out the probe, and after a brief time, it will map the entire region for you. We're talking resources, all points of interest, and even terrain hazards in one fell swoop. It's awesome, but you need to do this for every region on the map, and yes, that even means the deep desert later on. Coriolis storms will regularly wipe the map, forcing you to resurvey everything, which might seem tedious, but keeps the system relevant throughout the entire game. Once you've mapped the terrain and have access to the Planetologist skill tree, you'll also gain the ability to create sync charts. In theory, these allow you to create physical maps of the areas that you've scanned to be shared with other players. These can be passed around to guildmates, friends, or even sold to other players on the market, which may be valuable when you reach the deep desert, which is over 500 square kilometers. Unlike other survival games, Dune Awakening features a lot of RPG elements, including class and skill progression, and one of the first choices you'll need to make is what class to play out of the gate. You're given the choice of choosing between the Trooper, Mentat, Bene Gesserit, and the Swordmaster, and this decision is actually one of the biggest traps we've come across in the game so far. Every one of these classes can be learnt at some point by completing quests from specific trainers in the world, but you guessed it, that means you need to find them first. This also means where and when you get to interact with a specific class's skill tree can actually be dozens of hours apart within your progression. The last thing you want to do is pick a class that you can unlock a half an hour into your adventures. Wouldn't you know it, that's absolutely a thing. The Trooper, with its Shigawire skill, essentially a momentum-based grappling hook, has one of the best skill trees in the game, but you can actually unlock the class extremely early on from Gavori at Griffin's Reach trade post in the first zone. Other classes like the Mentat and Bene Gesserit are learned much later in progression, which means picking anything besides the Trooper will allow you to invest into two different skill trees within the first hours playing the game, giving you a lot more build flexibility than if you had chosen the Trooper initially. It's also worth pointing out you can unlock a 5th class, the Planetologist, early on, who has a skill tree dedicated to making exploration and progression more efficient. Derek Chinara can be found at Chinara's camp almost directly above the first Imperial testing station. You'll want to talk to him before exploring that testing station, as he does require you to retrieve a specific item within that point of interest. We're not going to spoil where that is inside the dungeon, but know it's a bit hidden, so look carefully, and if you leave without grabbing the Imperial testing station records item, you're not done exploring quite yet. While you're inside testing stations, major points of interest within Dune Awakening, or even exploring some of the more out-of-the-way locations across Arrakis, you'll inevitably come across science chests. Inside them are items called Imperial Permits, and understanding how these work is critical to your overall progression, as they allow you to craft some of the most potent items in the game. These are recipes that, when consumed the first time, will unlock a powerful alternate version of an item in the triple star area of your research tab. But more importantly, it will grant you a single-use permit to craft that item. If you want to craft that weapon, piece of gear, or item again in the future, you'll need to secure another permit for that specific item. This means on many occasions, old locations will need to be revisited in order to stock up on permits you personally find useful to your playstyle. If you've come across one of these items and you've either learned it already or don't really have a use for it, but your guildmate potentially does, you may want to consider leaving it in a guild-accessible chest so players who need to craft this item in a pinch can quickly get the permit that they need. This also ensures that you have a genuine reason to farm locations multiple times to future-proof your progression. Once you've built a small starter base in Dune Awakening and have a solid understanding of the core survival gameplay systems, you're going to want to shift your focus to creating and maintaining your first vehicle, the sand bike. That little part of the desert you've carved out for a home is a good start, but you'll quickly realize how very far apart things are from one another, and in order to get to and from them, you'll need to cross wide swaths of desert occupied by sandworms. Once your base is properly set up, you build your own sand bike from scratch, only after unlocking the respective research nodes. If you chose a locked research menu at the beginning of the game, you'll need to follow the tutorial quest to unlock the necessary blueprints to create the sand bike, which might take a bit longer. Farming the first testing station in Haga Basin South will quickly net you all the resources you need to build a brand new, full health sand bike, but there's more you need to know. We always recommend these 3 things. First, you should always carry a vehicle fuel cell in your inventory at all times to keep your vehicle from running out of power at the worst possible times. Second, you should always have enough wire of the respective tier and your welder on you, which allows you to fix critical components on your bike as they experience wear and tear from your adventures. Finally, and arguably the most important, is to research and carry the all-powerful vehicle backup tool. This will allow you to store your sand bike or a scout ornithopter safely in your pocket and plop them down in a new location at any time. It's amazing. If you weren't aware, every time a sandstorm blows over an area, if you or your vehicle are outside unprotected, everything will suffer catastrophic damage, and most of the time will die or explode. The vehicle backup tool solves 2 problems, keeping your vehicle safe and ensuring you never forget where you park. It's also worth mentioning there are different shelter states that will display on the bottom left of your screen. Unsheltered is the default state you're in while exploring Arrakis. You can easily be exposed to sunstroke, your water meter will drain quickly by default, and vehicles will get destroyed by passing sandstorms. The sheltered state happens when you're under overhangs of buildings, camps, rocky walls, etc. This is the lightest form of shelter, and as such, water will still drain at a moderate rate, but sandstorms will not affect you or your vehicles. The enclosed state provides the same level of protection, but brings your water consumption down to a manageable rate, not too fast or not too slow. Finally, the water-sealed state is exactly that. In this state, you lose water at an extremely slow rate while being fully protected from sandstorms. This is usually reserved for completely enclosed buildings, including your base, underground testing facilities, and sealed caves. Keeping your resource-heavy investments like vehicles safe, along with your precious water supply, is knowledge you'll carry with you until the very end of the game, so we want to make sure you're well informed. Something that you'll always find useful on Arrakis are traversal tricks. Running, climbing, and driving are great, but you can waste dozens of hours getting around the world inefficiently if you don't master what we're about to show you. First up, make sure you have the Trooper class unlocked. As a reminder, that questline starts at Gavori at Griffin's Reach trade post in the first zone. Unlocking Trooper right away gives you access to the Shigawire Claw ability. This is a grapple that pulls you to the targeted location with momentum preserved. With that alone, you can easily cross small gaps, skip whole sections of mountainsides, and scale enemy outposts and bases. But let's take that a step further. Get yourself an active directional suspensor device, making sure it's one that enables you to maintain momentum vertically or horizontally. The Emperor's Wings is by far one of the best early suspensors you can get, but it requires a permit found in this science chest at the end of the Imperial testing station in Haga Basin. Jumping and holding space while this is equipped preserves your momentum and allows you to traverse small gaps even better, letting you essentially float yourself over in an arc. You can also use this to safely go down steep drops and land safely, so long as you activate this as soon as you're falling before picking up momentum. Finally, let's unlock full mobility with this by combining the Shigawire Claw and Emperor's Wings. Target a surface and based on your trajectory, activate your jump and float about 3/4 of the way into the pull. This will carry you, based on your momentum, far into the air. You can cross massive gaps, scale up the sides of mountains, or hop across the ground at a much more rapid pace. And if you can master this technique early, almost all of Arrakis becomes your playground to explore and exploit. So there you have it, some essential early game tips if you plan on diving into Dune Awakening. As always, if you appreciate the work that goes into this video, do me a solid, hit that thumbs up and consider subscribing. And remember, Legacy Gaming will have a clan on the first available server on NA East, so be sure to join up with us if you want to take on Arrakis together. My name is Kodiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.